Hello everyone and welcome back to Hedgehog Month. Today we'll be taking a look at 2011 Sonic Generations, the series' 20th anniversary title. Fuck man, this game's already 10 years old. I've loved this game ever since it released all the way back in 2011, so yes, this video will have some bias, and as well, saying that, all my videos have some bias, because let's not forget, even a video essay can have some bias. At the end of the day, it's all just an opinion, nothing is factual. So we'll just take a light jog down memory lane on why I think Sonic Generations is a perfect celebration. So as always, I'll start with the plot, and to mine and many others' disappointment, Sonic Generations doesn't exactly have much of one, and the one that it does have isn't that great. But is that a bad thing? Not exactly. You see, where the game makes up for its lack of storytelling comes in the gameplay. Unlike its predecessor, Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations takes the boost formula from Sonic Unleashed and takes advantage of the fact that it's on every 7th gen console but the Wii. The control is refined so that it is just right in 3D, albeit at the expense of some weighty 2D, perfectly tight drifting, responsive slides, stomps, quick steps, snappy homing attacks. Everything just feels so satisfying to use. It's easily the best controlling boost game. Anyways, this game's plot involves the fact that it's Sonic's birthday, but some shadowy figure shows up and sucks all Sonic's friends into these portals, which then transports them to a void and freezes them, stuck in limbo. Something similar happens to the locations of the past as well, which end up being this game's levels. In the mix comes classic Sonic, which is basically Sonic from the past, sporting his 90s design, as fitting, as well as classic Tails and Dr. Robotnik. The Sonics eventually cross paths and work together to take down the shadowy figure, which is the Time Eater, a time-manipulating monster that is controlled by both Eggman and Robotnik. The more you play it, the more things return to normal, but still the presentation has that meta-era curse. Anyways, let's get to the gameplay. So I discussed the 3D gameplay earlier, but every modern Sonic game needs a gimmick, and this game's gimmick is classic Sonic. Coming with entirely 2D stages that control nicely with a busted spin dash that's fun as hell to use and abuse, as our Act 1, meaning that Act 2 is modern Sonic. I'll go through every stage individually, but before I do, these visuals are still amazing even today, and they're made even better by the PC port as well as graphics mods that you can get for it, such as the Unleashed FX Pipeline shaders. Green Hill Zone Act 1 is a short but fun stage that gets better the more you play it, since you get more comfortable with the control and ways to take advantage of your kit to get around faster. This is also very formulaic, similar to that of the classic games, as are all the Act 1 stages. The higher the route, the faster, the lower, the more dangerous. Act 2, however, is probably one of the best stages in the game, with constantly fast gameplay that's just fun to blast through even if it's a bit mindless in its design. Chemical Plant Act 1 has some tricky level design with plenty of cool throwbacks to the original stage in Sonic 2, while Act 2's interpretation is much more platforming focused than other Act 2 stages, making it quite an involved stage with plenty of different alternative paths to take. Sky Sanctuary Act 1 is one of my least favourite levels in the game. You're punished too heavily for f***ing up, but you are rewarded too handsomely for doing good, so the stage needs a bit more balancing, and overall it's just not that great to play through. Act 2 isn't that great either, but it's the best of the two. It's a mix of heavy platforming and mindless boosting. Our first rival boss is Metal Sonic, a fun, quick 2D fight that I always tend to revisit. It's probably the best rival fight in the game. And the first big boss is the Death Egg Robot, a slower interpretation of the fight, but one that requires you to do some precise platforming under some intense pressure. I do prefer the original version, but this is still not that bad at all, especially compared to Sonic 4. Next up is Speed Highway, Act 1 being fast action with fair platforming and Act 2 being more mindless boosting, but the more you explore the more you uncover, just like the original but on a smaller scale. Every 3D stage has a mask over it where it seems like it's just going to be hold boost to win at first, but the more you slow down and take your time you will uncover some more paths. For example, the helicopter at the start of the stage can be grabbed onto to give you a shortcut somewhere else. It's really intriguing how you can just explore the level and it'll open up so much more. It encourages you to take a step back to explore to then revisit the level later to get the best time possible. It really does add to replay value, but it doesn't force it in your face. It allows the player to take their time with the exploration as well as the expansion of the game. You can go at your own pace. City Escape Act 1 is great fun with some thoughtful level design with great shortcuts, and Act 2 being a more expanded take on the original. Just look at how manic this is. Seaside Hill Act 1 is pretty slow and boring, definitely one of the weaker stages, whereas Act 2 again is an expanded version of the original with some very expansive level design in the stage that combines Seaside Hill with Ocean Palace, and it's probably the most open level in the game with peak level design. Rival Boss 2 is Shadow on the Space Colony Arc, which is more mindless fun in my opinion, with Boss 2 being Perfect Chaos. Yeah, Perfect Chaos is now fightable in base form. Sonic's Henge. So yeah, it's similar to the original fight but has more platforming elements. Not the superior version of the battle in my opinion, but it's certainly a good boss. Crisis City is an unexpected stage, but it's probably my favourite stage in the whole game. Act 1's design is full of crafty set pieces and I love it, whereas Act 2 is some tight platforming with each stage being a different part of the Firestorm, just like the segment from 06. Rooftop Run Act 1 is fine and all, but it's just a little bit too long for my taste, but Act 2 is just as fun as it was back in 2008, and finally Planet Wisp, easily the worst stage in the whole game. Act 1 is a hard to navigate maze that uses the pink Wisp in abysmal ways, and Act 2 goes on for way too long with the poor Wisp utilisation once again. Rival 3 is Silver, in the only good Silver fight in the series, and Boss 3 is the Egg Dragoon, a thoughtful boss with a hard as balls hard mode. I mean, it's called hard mode. The final boss is the Time Eater, of course, a somewhat underwhelming battle involving 2D and 3D chasing, but satisfying to pull off without hitting anything. That trophy took me so long to get, and to finally get it down was the most satisfying thing in the world. What confuses me, however, is the level choices. Green Hill and Chemical Plant I can fully understand for the classic era, but I would have either chosen Flying Battery or Hydro City, maybe even Ice Cap from Sonic 3. Mushroom Hill on the 3DS is good, so it can stay. Same applies for Casino Night. Speed Highway is the only logical choice from SA1, as is City Escape from SA2, with Radical Highway on the DS being a perfect parallel. Seaside Hill, however, really? I mean, I understand it's a popular stage and the level design for it in this game is phenomenal, but there were so many better choices. Frog Forest crossed with Lost Jungle, Hang Castle and Mystic Mansion, Egg Fleet and Final Fortress. Yeah, and even Grand Metropolis and Power Plant could have worked better. We've just seen Seaside Hill and variants of Green Hill too many times now. Anyways, just the mere thought of including Sonic 06 in this game is ballsy. 06 in 2011 was 5 years old. Only half a decade ago did the franchise almost die because of this game. So the fact that they included it in their celebration game at the time must have been a mind-blowing thought. I mean, to be fair, it's a more logical choice in the storybook games, but I've loved some Camelot Castle or Misty Lake. Regardless, as stated, Crisis City was a great choice and ended up being my favourite level in the game. Rooftop Run is only a logical choice for Sonic Unleashed, I suppose, but I would choose Dragon Road personally, as I think it would spice things up a little bit because there are an abundance of city levels in this game. And then Sonic Colors works so well because of the Wisps, and when you take away that game's strongest fundamental, it collapses, as proved by this Planet Wisp. Even still, I wouldn't have gone for this stage for two reasons, the first being the Wisp. Stages like Asteroid Coaster, Sweet Mountain offer more interesting Wisps to use, and the other reason being I don't like Planet Wisp at all. I prefer Starlight Carnival, Aquarium Park or Asteroid Coaster. Tropical Resort on the DS version, however, was great and even better in the way it incorporates the colours DS exclusive Red Wisp, the Burst. Also, on the topic of DS gens, why not have more handheld stages? I mean, sure, we got Sonic Rush stage, but let's not forget about, Rush Adventure, maybe even Sonic Advance Existence, hell, maybe even a homage to Sonic Rivals or Battle, I don't know. Despite all that praise, however, I still have to point out one more complaint regarding the base gameplay structure, and it's about modern Sonic and the repeated abundance of 2D sections, and it is absurd. Act 1 is for 2D, guys, let Modern do his thing in 3D. I get there was going to be a Dreamcast error as well for an Act 3 formula, but that was cut, maybe that would have been a full 3D one. The 2D for modern Sonic in this game isn't anywhere near as offensive as that seen in Sonic Colors, but it's still pathetic in comparison to the rest of his stages as well as classic Sonic. Sonic Unleashed did the 2D pretty well, and the 3D was fantastic, and I really don't understand why they couldn't adapt more from that. Something I haven't mentioned is the challenge gates. Each zone has 10 gates, one for each act, so that's 60 total challenges, but thankfully they're not all compulsory. To unlock the boss of each era of stages, you must complete any one challenge of each of the 3 zones to get a key. Get 3 keys and you can go to the boss, meaning you only need to complete 9 challenges to get enough keys to beat the game. It's neat for casuals and it's a fun challenge for completionists, since they come with a reward at the end, either being art or music tracks that you can even play in a stage, which is a feature I adore and I really wish it came back. One of my favourite things about the game. On the topic of completion as well, each zone has 5 red rings and an S rank to achieve. S ranks are a bit too easy to get, but red rings may take a while, but you have the advantage of allowing you to really explore and appreciate the level design. It's a fun process, unlike it was in Sonic Colors, which you'll probably just get most of them on your first time, and the second time is just a case of, oh, I forgot to check that corner. Of course, I'm not going to sit here for 20 minutes and wank the game off, so here's some things I don't like. There isn't enough originality in the game for my taste. All the zones are reused from older games, and I understand that it is a celebration of Sonic's past, but some more original zones would have been nice, as the same goes for bosses, even if the concepts are unique in some cases. They do feel recycled more often than not, but the way that level design is changed in both bosses and levels is it's a fine enough excuse to do what they did, I believe. Classic Sonic stages are good but less fun to replay due to the slow pace of them, and because of the more platforming focus that is a bit weighty, but this is a slight issue since it really boils down to appeal. You could just abuse the spin dash and have fun, which is what I do. And the runtime without completion is pretty short, it's roughly 1 to 3 hours, which is abysmal. Back in the day this would have cost you $50, and you could acquire it now for about 10, which is fair enough, or even for free if you have a PS Now subscription. But I wouldn't recommend playing it that way personally, because it's best played on the PC. But even still, 1 to 3 hours is pretty shocking. But for completion it'll take you roughly around 10 to 15, I'd say, a stretch, so there's plenty there for the completionists. And finally, Super Sonic is a cool unlock, but it's an underwhelming feature as it doesn't really do much, and it doesn't even do anything for Classic Sonic but invincibility as far as I'm aware, and the way that it drains your ring count is just absurd. You may as well not use it. Oh wait. This game goes above and beyond with rewarding the completionists out there, as it comes with gameplay customization as well. Obviously, Super Sonic, like I mentioned, is an optional equipable, which is where this factors in. There's a store where you can buy perks for both Sonics using these points that you get at the end of each level. Some make the game so much more fun to play, such as Sure-Footed and Blast Off, whereas others can provide unique challenges because of the consequences that come with, such as the Endless Boost. I'll admit that Classic Sonic didn't get much outside of the homing attack and elemental shield, but it's still nice to use said homing attacks as an option for those Genesis era purists, unlike the DS version which forces you to use it. And speaking of Genesis era purists, if you play on the PS3, I'm not sure about the 360, you can, for 6,666 points from memory anyways, you can buy yourself a Sega Mega Drive and you can play Sonic 1 on the Mega Drive. I don't know how many stages there are because I never actually got around to beating the thing, but it's Sonic 1 in all of its original glory. And the soundtrack to this game is just simply sublime. Jun Sonoe basically said, remember all those old Sonic bangers? Yeah, I made them even better. There isn't a single bad song in this game. All Sonic remixes are great listens, and the boss themes as well are just really good. The Time Eater theme is epic for a shit boss. The remixes in general are just fantastic. I mean, my top 3 songs of the game in no order, being Crisis City Act 1, City Escape Act 1, and the Big Arms boss. But there is no Big Arms boss battle in the game, so where am I getting this from? Where does this doozy come in? Well, that doozy comes in the form of this doozy. Yes, this game also has a 3DS port, as I stated before, which is an entirely new game. It's all in 2D with some 2.5D for that matter, but the stages remain fast and fun somehow, and I do enjoy revisiting this version as well, due to it having an amazing completion that's fun and rewarding with plenty of cool features that the console version doesn't have. Some stages are different too. For example, this game will feature Casino Night and Mushroom Hill, Emerald Coast and Radical Highway, and then Water Palace and Tropical Resort. Some of these zones I actually would have preferred in the console version. There's also special stages akin to those in Sonic Heroes, but better because you can actually control it. The bosses aside from rivals are also different and better than those in the console version in my opinion. Big Arms from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is pretty faithful to the original, but it is very dynamic in the way that its stage rotates and it's a fun boss to try and speedrun. The Bio Lizard from Sonic Adventure 2, which is pretty identical to the original fight, and it's probably nowhere near as good as the original fight, based on the fact that you can't have full 3D movement. It's a lot easier basically. And finally, the Egg Emperor from Sonic Heroes is the best boss fight in the game. They're all fun fights, and the final battle in this game as well, I would argue, is better than the console version. The 3DS version is very underappreciated, I think, but this is my first experience with Generation, so I do have that bias. Where I think the 3DS version is better than the console version, however, is in the form of its challenges. Rather than being in the hub, since there isn't one, they get their own little menu which lets you pick through the ones that you would like to play, with completing them nabbing you these awesome statues and music, etc. It's similar to that of the collection room in the console version, but it doesn't require a few secrets to unlock the trophies. The 3DS version also has a play profile that lets the user show off to the world their favourite Sonic character, their favourite Sonic game, the year they became a Sonic fan, and customise their background image on their profile using a screenshot from basically every single Sonic game up to this point, including the storybook games and the spin-offs, which is nuts. You could also race with people online, but this was something I rarely used. I probably used it about 10 times and then stopped. The 3DS has its merits mainly in collectibles and player profiles, but the console beats it out in terms of music customization, water in the gallery, red rings, and overall gameplay, as well as completion challenge. But when it comes full circle, even I'll admit the console version is the superior version despite my bias for the 3DS version. Sonic Generations is just a great look back on the past of the Blue Blur, one that appreciates and respects its history. An incredibly fun game with an equally as fun handheld equivalent to take on the go, what's not to love? Generations is still going strong as well thanks to its PC port and the mod support it has. Amazing mods like the Unleashed project, the 06 project, original levels and character mods all the way through to keep the game fresh, and will have you playing it over and over each time as a new experience. This is a game that can not only treat the fans of the series but potentially make new ones. The best part of it all is Sonic Generations isn't just nostalgia pandering, the levels are constructed in a way where it appreciates the series past and pays great tribute to it. Everything is crafted with fans in mind for this game, and I hope that the 30th anniversary title can bring us something similar. Sonic Generations, simply put, is the best 3D Sonic game in over a decade now, and actually no, a decade and a half, and the best boost game quite easily. It's a bundle of fun for Sonic fans, and I highly recommend this game to anyone who wants to play a Sonic game, that a 3D Sonic game within the current era. I would recommend this any day over Sonic Colors, and especially Sonic Colors Ultimate.